Welcome, beautiful Sigma ladies. She warned you with silence. You thought it meant weakness. Turns out it was the calm before your storm. There's a terrifying truth people overlook. The quietest women often carry the loudest darkness. Not because they're violent, unstable, or dramatic, but because they've mastered the art of restraint until they don't. According to behavioral studies, individuals who suppress their emotions too long tend to release them in ways that are far more unpredictable and extreme than those who express them regularly. Now imagine that person is a Sigma female, independent, calculating, emotionally bulletproof, and you've just triggered her dark side. And no, she's not going to show up like a villain in an action movie screaming in rage. She's the kind who'll ruin your reputation with one sentence and walk away like she just finished folding laundry. In this video, we're diving into 20 spine-chilling, brutally honest, and psychologically intense things that happen when a Sigma female unleashes the part of herself you were never meant to see. If you've ever mistaken her silence for softness or thought her kindness was compliance, well, buckle up, because the real story is just beginning. Number 1. She uses pain as a compass, not a crutch. She doesn't run from pain. She studies it like it owes her answers. When the Sigma female steps into her darker side, pain stops being an emotional burden and starts becoming a tool. Most people drown in pain. They complain, numb themselves, or throw it at other people hoping to feel lighter, but not her. She sits with it, observes it, and then asks, "What is this teaching me?" That mindset alone makes her terrifying to anyone who thought breaking her would be easy. When she's in that darker mode, she doesn't spiral into self-pity. She becomes hyper-aware, sharper, more calculated. She takes the very thing that was meant to destroy her and turns it into fuel. If someone betrayed her, she rewinds the entire situation in her head, not to cry over it, but to understand how she missed the red flags. She memorizes patterns, stores behaviors, and upgrades her standards. She becomes more emotionally selective, harder to access, and nearly impossible to manipulate again. Her dark side doesn't just survive the chaos, it evolves in it. She learns how people operate when they think she's weak. She watches how friends disappear when things get hard. She notes who mocked her, who ignored her, who underestimated her, and she files it all away, but not for revenge, for refinement. She removes the wrong people, tightens her boundaries, and upgrades her entire circle without making noise. The scariest part, you won't even see the transformation happening. There's no warning, no meltdown, no social media drama. Just one day, she's colder, sharper, less available, less forgiving. Her energy changes. She's not interested in proving anything anymore, because now she knows exactly who she is and what she won't tolerate. Pain for her isn't something to hide or heal from overnight. It becomes a personal blueprint, a harsh teacher, a quiet architect of her next level. While others complain and collapse, she builds in silence, using the very bricks they threw at her. So when you see a Sigma female who's been through something dark, don't expect her to be the same. She won't just heal, she'll come back unrecognizable. And that's what truly unsettles everyone. Number 2. She treats your presence like noise. She doesn't slam doors or throw dramatic goodbyes. She just goes quiet. Not the peaceful kind, but the kind that makes you feel like a ghost in your own story. When a Sigma female reaches that internal breaking point, she doesn't scream or argue. She simply stops registering you. Not out of bitterness, but because you no longer hold space in her emotional reality. Your presence becomes background noise, just there, like static, tolerated, but not important. It's not even personal anymore. That's what makes it sting. You're not the enemy. You're just nothing. There's no grudge, no hate, no interest. You could tell a joke, start a fight, or confess a secret. It wouldn't matter. Her eyes might look at you, but they won't really see you. Her body is in the room, but her mind is already somewhere you can't follow. The scary part is that she doesn't need to announce that she's done. You just feel it. The warm energy is gone. The curiosity is gone. That unspoken bond you thought you had vanished. You're met with emotional indifference so raw, it forces you to question your own worth. And she's not doing it for revenge, she's doing it for peace. That's the difference. See, most people still try to maintain polite contact with those they've outgrown. Not her. When she detaches, it's full, it's clean, and it's permanent. Because once she realizes you're more of a distraction than a presence, she doesn't see the point in keeping you close. This isn't coldness for the sake of ego. It's emotional self-respect. If you became noise in her life, messy, repetitive, meaningless, she'll tune you out like a song she's heard too many times. No anger, no drama, just silence that says, you no longer matter here. And that silence, it echoes louder than any fight ever could. Number 3. She stops protecting people from themselves. She used to step in. She used to soften the blow, bite her tongue, carry other people's mistakes on her own back just to keep things from falling apart. That's what made her seem nice to everyone, until she wasn't. When the Sigma female reaches that threshold where her dark side takes the wheel, she stops being everyone's emotional shield. She stops explaining, buffering, or absorbing anything that doesn't belong to her. And that's when things get real, for everyone around her. She no longer steps between people and their consequences. If you're about to crash, she'll let it happen. If your words are about to destroy your own reputation, she won't interrupt. If your decisions are leading you straight into regret, she'll calmly move out of the way and let you learn. Not out of spite, but because she's done babysitting grown people who refuse to evolve. She becomes a mirror, clear, unfiltered, and brutal. Whatever people put out, she reflects back. If someone's manipulative, they get exposed. If someone's lazy, they feel the weight of their own inaction. She no longer sugarcoats hard truths or softens harsh realities. Her silence becomes confrontational. Her boundaries become solid. Her lack of rescue becomes a lesson. People who were used to her tolerance now feel abandoned. But the truth is, they were never entitled to her emotional labor in the first place. She was just giving it freely, until she realized they were draining her, not growing from it. The scariest part? She does all of this without anger. She's not trying to teach anyone a lesson. She's just honoring herself now. And if that means letting people fall face first into the mess they created, so be it. She's no longer attached to outcomes. She's no longer taking responsibility for people who refuse to take responsibility for themselves. That kind of shift shakes people. Because when someone stops cushioning the consequences you've earned, it forces you to confront who you really are. And that reflection, when seen through her unblinking eyes, is often more terrifying than any punishment she could ever give. Number 4. She exploits the weak spots you thought were hidden. She doesn't explode. She calculates. While most people react in the heat of the moment, the Sigma female stores. She notices everything. Your habits, your contradictions, your subtle fears that you try to cover up with confidence. She may never say a word about them, but she sees them. And when her dark side kicks in, that mental archive becomes her weapon. She won't come at you with drama or cheap insults. She'll go straight for the pressure points, the ones you thought no one noticed, the things you joked about nervously, the insecurities you tried to mask with loud energy or fake strength. She remembers, not to mock but to expose. Her precision isn't accidental, it's strategic. If you pushed her too far, she's not swinging blindly. She's aiming right at the part of you that will collapse first. You might think you're safe because she hasn't mentioned it before. But that's what makes her terrifying. She waits. She doesn't need to confront you while things are still calm. She waits for the exact moment when your ego is inflated, when you feel untouchable. And then she plants the truth like a knife, quick, silent, undeniable. And she doesn't need to raise her voice. She can drop a single sentence that shuts you down completely. Something so accurate, so rooted in who you are beneath the surface, that you feel naked in front of her. She won't throw it in your face in public, no. She'll say it when it's just the two of you, intimate, quiet, devastating. You won't forget it, because it won't sound like an attack. It'll sound like the truth you've been avoiding for years. And hearing it from someone who never claimed to want revenge, who simply knew, that's what breaks you. She didn't have to scream. She just knew where the mask cracked. That's the thing about Sigma females when they shift into that cold, strategic mode. They don't throw punches. They touch wounds you thought were invisible. And once she exposes it, you can't pretend it's not there anymore. You'll carry that with you, long after she's walked away. Number 5. She turns her eyes into psychological X-rays. When a Sigma female drops her emotional filter, her stare becomes something else entirely, unsettling, piercing, almost surgical. She doesn't have to say a word. Her eyes do all the talking, and what they say is this: I see right through you. Not in a dramatic, mystical way, but in a quiet, unnerving way that makes people shift in their seat, lose their train of thought, or start over-explaining themselves for no reason at all. She doesn't even try to intimidate. That's what makes it worse. Her gaze is steady, calm, almost curious, but there's no flattery in it, no softness, no effort to make you feel comfortable. It's the kind of look that scans, dissects, and silently questions everything you just said. And people feel it. They feel the walls they put up aren't working. They feel like whatever version of themselves they're performing isn't convincing her, because it isn't. When she's in that darker mode, she no longer tries to protect people from their own reflection. She doesn't play dumb or pretend not to notice the subtle jabs, the fake smiles, the power plays dressed up as jokes. She registers all of it and lets you know, just with her eyes, that she caught everything. It's not about confrontation, it's about exposure. Silent exposure. The kind that makes people suddenly drop the act or retreat entirely. There's something deeply uncomfortable about being looked at like that. Not judged, but understood too deeply. People who are used to control through charm or dominance suddenly find themselves cornered without a word being spoken. They try to regain footing, to act normal, but the damage is already done. Her eyes have already pulled the mask off, and the truth is, she's not even trying to intimidate. She's just done pretending she doesn't see what she sees. Once she stops sugarcoating her perception, you realize just how sharp it's always been. That stare doesn't burn, it exposes. It makes people feel emotionally undressed. And when someone feels completely seen in all the places they were trying to hide, their instinct isn't to fight. It's to flee. Number 6. She doesn't just burn bridges, she destroys the entire map. When a Sigma female is truly finished, it's not a breakup, it's an erasure. She doesn't just close the door, she tears down the entire hallway. People often confuse quiet exits with weakness. But in her world, silence is final. Once she's crossed that internal line, she doesn't leave breadcrumbs, she doesn't keep photos, and she doesn't send "hope you're well" messages months later. She wipes the slate clean. And if you try to find your way back, you'll quickly realize the road doesn't exist anymore. She won't block you to send a message. She'll block you because your existence no longer serves any purpose. It's not to punish, it's to delete. Her emotional hard drive doesn't save files it no longer needs. You won't be remembered with bitterness, but you won't be remembered at all. That's the cold reality. And if you try to remind her of the good times, you'll be met with a stare that says, I don't go back where I had to heal myself. She's not holding a grudge. She's just not interested in replaying a chapter that nearly drained her dry. She doesn't revisit. She rebuilds elsewhere. Her detachment isn't theatrical. It's surgical. And what makes it so chilling is how peaceful she seems while doing it. What most people don't realize is that during the relationship, she gave chances silently. She observed, she tolerated, she made mental notes. But when those notes start to feel like evidence, not lessons, she makes her final move. Cut, erase, incinerate. Not just you, but the entire emotional geography that led to you. That includes mutual friends, familiar places, shared habits. Gone. Not because she's trying to make a scene, but because her energy isn't built to recycle what's been tainted. And once that emotional firewall goes up, it's permanent. You can apologize, reminisce, confess, beg, it won't matter. You are not blocked from her life, you've been removed from her universe. You're not just out of the room, you've been written out of the script. That kind of finality is terrifying because it's so clean. There's no revenge, no aftermath, no emotional mess left behind. Just the unsettling truth that you were part of her story once, and now, not even a memory. Number 7. She turns her independence into dominance. When a Sigma female steps into her darker mode, her independence doesn't just make her strong, it makes her untouchable. Most people cling to social circles for validation, lean on relationships for emotional safety, and avoid being alone because solitude exposes their insecurities. But not her. She thrives in it, and when she's operating from that space, her detachment becomes a kind of quiet dominance that no one sees coming. She no longer cares about being understood or accepted. She's not out to please or impress. She retreats into her own world, not to hide, but to observe. She watches people chase attention, manipulate for power, perform for approval, all while sitting in silence, calculating, out of reach. That's what makes her dangerous. You don't see her moves coming because she doesn't operate on the same emotional frequency as everyone else. She doesn't need a crowd to feel powerful. She becomes the kind of woman who builds in silence, heals in solitude, and moves without warning. And that unpredictability unnerves people. They don't know what she's planning because she doesn't announce it. They can't manipulate her because she doesn't rely on them. She's not lonely, she's strategic. Her solitude sharpens her, not softens her. People used to mistake her independence for coldness. But when that independence becomes dominance, they realize she was never cold, just controlled. And now that she's fully leaned into her self-sufficiency, she doesn't ask for permission. She doesn't negotiate her worth. She doesn't explain her silence. She knows exactly what she's doing, and she's comfortable being the mystery no one can solve. She becomes the one people watch but can't approach, the one who makes decisions without needing input, the one who exits quietly but leaves a loud impact. And what terrifies people most is that she doesn't need them. Not emotionally, not socially, not mentally. She's not waiting for approval or company. She's already 5 steps ahead, alone, focused, and lethal with her intentions. When she gets to that place, her silence becomes her sword, and her solitude becomes her power base. And from that position, she doesn't demand attention. She commands it, without ever saying a word. Number 8. She intimidates without trying, and that's the scariest part. There's something terrifying about a woman who doesn't need to lift a finger to make people nervous. When a Sigma female reveals her dark side, she doesn't yell, posture, or perform. She just exists, sharply, calmly, with the kind of presence that makes even confident people stumble over their words. The air around her changes. The same people who once laughed too loudly in her presence, or tried to control her with charm, now start watching their step. Suddenly, she's not someone you interrupt. She's someone you watch. Her tone changes, not louder, lower, controlled, clipped. She no longer sugarcoats her truth to keep the peace, and the absence of warmth in her voice makes people feel like they've already done something wrong. Every word she speaks feels measured, intentional. There's no filler, no fluff, just a directness that leaves no room for games or guessing. And when someone tries to challenge her, they quickly realize, this is not a woman you debate without bleeding a little. Then there's her gaze. It doesn't wander or waver. It lands, it holds, it studies. And that's where the fear kicks in. Because when she looks at you, you don't feel admired. You feel scanned, as if she already knows what you're hiding and is just waiting for you to admit it. That kind of psychological exposure makes people shrink without understanding why. It's not that she's trying to intimidate, it's that her refusal to perform politeness makes others question their own masks. Even her stillness becomes threatening. She doesn't fidget or flinch. She's just there, composed, unreadable, and completely unbothered. And when you're used to controlling rooms with loudness or charm, facing someone who doesn't need to react is unsettling. She forces you to confront yourself, just by refusing to play along. What makes this so scary isn't just her silence or her sharpness. It's the realization that she sees through you and still chooses not to engage. That's when it hits. You're no longer in control of the conversation, the energy, or the power dynamic. She is. And the worst part, she's not even trying. That's what makes her dangerous. Because true power doesn't announce itself. It simply walks in and makes everyone else sit down. Number 9. She starts playing the long game with ruthless precision. When a Sigma female taps into her dark side, she doesn't explode, she executes. She doesn't argue, she calculates. While others lash out in the heat of the moment, she takes a breath, stores the betrayal in her mental vault, and walks away like nothing happened. That's the first warning people miss. Her silence isn't surrender, it's strategy. And the game she's about to play isn't impulsive, it's architected. She doesn't believe in revenge for the sake of ego. That's too messy, too loud. What she aims for is something far more unnerving, long-term impact. She starts aligning the pieces quietly, cleanly, until the whole board shifts in her favor. It might take weeks, months, even years. But make no mistake, she never forgets the slight. She just chooses when to respond, and how deep to cut when she does. By the time you notice the shift, it's already too late. You'll find your influence slowly dissolving, opportunities disappearing, people pulling away. You won't connect the dots at first. That's her mastery. She doesn't leave fingerprints. She lets reality do the work. While you're still playing checkers, she's already finished the chess game and quietly reset the board to start again without you. And no, she doesn't seek applause or recognition for it. That's what makes her terrifying. She doesn't care if you know it was her. What matters is that your downfall felt natural, like a slow unraveling you couldn't stop. Because she didn't destroy you with force. She let you walk straight into your own unraveling and sealed the door behind you. People always underestimate the Sigma female because she doesn't bark or broadcast. But when she turns cold, her mind becomes a blueprint of psychological warfare, executed with grace, precision, and the unnerving calm of someone who's 10 steps ahead. Not because she enjoys cruelty, but because she refuses to let disrespect slide without consequence. She's not impulsive. She's inevitable. And the scariest part, you'll never see it coming. You'll think she forgot. You'll think you got away with it. Until one day, you look around and realize everything you once had, access, power, trust, advantage, is gone, not stolen, just silently reclaimed. Number 10, she cuts emotional cords without flinching. When most people are hurt or betrayed, there's a struggle, a messy, painful tug-of-war with feelings and memories, a desperate attempt to hold on or make sense of the chaos. But a Sigma female? She doesn't wrestle with it. She doesn't linger in the pain or replay the betrayal like a broken record. Instead, she cuts the emotional cords clean and fast, without a single flinch or backward glance. She treats emotional detachment like a surgical procedure, precise, swift, and final. There's no dramatic showdown, no tearful goodbye, no desperate calls for explanations, just a quiet, unyielding decision to erase. You cease to exist in her world, not because she's cruel, but because she values her peace too much to let anyone poison it. And this kind of deletion is scarier than rage or revenge because it feels like being erased from existence. What makes this even more terrifying is how effortless it looks, no struggle, no hesitation. One moment you were part of her life, the next you're a ghost, a name she won't mention, a memory she won't revisit. And she doesn't need closure or drama to do it. That emotional cord snaps so cleanly that there's no chance to mend it, no space for second chances. People assume cutting ties means fighting, but with her, it's the opposite. It's cold, calm, and absolute. She won't argue over broken trust. She won't beg for respect. She just moves on, like you were a chapter she never meant to write. And that silence, that complete emotional extinction, leaves a void so empty that it's more haunting than any confrontation. When she cuts cords, she doesn't just leave the room, she leaves the whole building behind. And anyone hoping for reconciliation quickly realizes she's not someone who revisits past wounds. She guards her emotional boundaries fiercely, and once cut, those cords don't just fray, they vanish entirely. No strings attached, no wounds reopened, just total and brutal detachment. Number 11. She becomes a living lie detector. When a Sigma female's dark side emerges, her intuition sharpens into something almost supernatural. She stops taking words at face value and starts reading the invisible currents beneath them. The flicker in your eyes, the slight hesitation in your speech, the tension in your body that you didn't know you were giving away. It's as if she's plugged into a lie detector that never malfunctions, and once she detects dishonesty, there's no hiding from her. Calling you out isn't a gentle nudge or a private whisper. It's a ruthless unveiling, like ripping off a mask in front of an audience that's been fooled until now. She won't soften the blow or offer you a graceful exit. Instead, she exposes your deception with brutal clarity, making sure everyone sees the truth laid bare. The humiliation isn't accidental, it's deliberate. There's no space left for excuses, no backtracking, no plausible deniability. She understands the power of truth weaponized, and she wields it with surgical precision. The moment she exposes your lie, it's not just about catching you in a falsehood. It's a message. Don't underestimate her insight or her willingness to dismantle facades. People who once tried to manipulate her realize quickly that she's not just immune to lies. She's a threat to anyone who hides behind them. This ability makes her terrifying because it strips away old pretenses and forces everyone to face the raw, uncomfortable reality they're trying to avoid. When she looks at you, she's not just seeing what's on the surface. She's reading the story behind your mask. And when she decides to reveal that story, it's a moment you'll never forget, and a lesson no one else will dare to forget either. Number 12. Her energy shifts the room without a word. When her dark side emerges, the Sigma female doesn't need to say a single word to command every inch of the room. Her energy shifts like an invisible force, subtle yet undeniable. It's not loud or brash, it's quiet power that seeps into the air and settles like a weight. People around her suddenly find themselves on edge, their skin prickling with an unexplainable tension, a nervous anticipation they can't shake. This shift isn't about intimidation through volume or aggression. It's a psychological pressure that presses down on everyone nearby, making them hyper-aware of their own flaws and insecurities. You don't realize what's happening because it's wrapped in an elegant, composed exterior that disguises the storm beneath. It's like walking into a room where the temperature drops without any visible cause, leaving everyone instinctively unsettled. Her presence becomes a kind of silent authority. No shouting, no demands, just pure energy that says, "I'm in control whether you see it or not." And this energy doesn't just command respect, it stirs anxiety in those who try to challenge or deceive her. They feel exposed, vulnerable, as if their defenses have been stripped away without a single blow landed. What's truly terrifying is that this power is invisible, intangible, and impossible to argue against. It's not about what she says or does, it's about the weight she carries in her silence and stillness. People find themselves watching their own actions more carefully, second-guessing their words, and sometimes even wishing they could disappear just to escape that unseen pressure. This kind of dominance, cloaked in quiet elegance, is what makes her dark side so dangerously effective. She doesn't have to raise her voice or make threats. Her mere presence unsettles the strongest personalities and unravels the most confident minds. It's power without noise, and that's the hardest kind to fight. When a Sigma female reveals her dark side, what unfolds is not mere anger or retaliation. It is an intricate, terrifying transformation that few are prepared to face. She doesn't lash out with chaos or empty threats. Instead, she becomes a force of undeniable precision and quiet power. Her actions cut deeper than words, dismantling illusions, exposing vulnerabilities, and rewriting the rules of engagement with ruthless clarity. This is not a side born of weakness or impulse, but one forged in solitude, intellect, and a fierce commitment to her own boundaries. To witness her dark side is to experience an almost surgical unmasking of truth. She doesn't just respond, she recalibrates the entire dynamic, turning your own flaws, lies, and weaknesses into a mirror that reflects everything you tried to bury. She strips away emotional cords without hesitation, extinguishes bridges without a trace, and wields her independence as a realm where she alone holds sovereignty. Her presence alone shifts atmospheres, shifting the room's energy into a charged, almost tangible tension that unsettles even the most confident. What makes her darkness truly terrifying is how it's cloaked in elegance and restraint. There's no need for drama or chaos because her power lies in control, the kind that seeps into your bones without you realizing it until it's too late. She plays the long game with ruthless patience, leaving a trail of silent, permanent consequences in her wake. This is a woman who doesn't just defend herself. She redefines the battlefield entirely. Understanding her dark side isn't about fearing her. It's about respecting the depth of her complexity and the boundaries she refuses to let others cross. It's a reminder that beneath the quiet confidence of a Sigma female lies a force that, once unleashed, commands respect through sheer, unshakable presence and devastating clarity. If you ever find yourself standing on the wrong side of that darkness, know this: you're not just facing a reaction, you're confronting a profound reckoning that rewrites your place in her world forever. And in that reckoning there is no mercy, no second chances, only the cold, unyielding truth of who she is when all filters fall away. If you found this insight into the fierce, unfiltered truth of the Sigma female's dark side as captivating as I intended, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss content that dives deep into the extraordinary and the untold. Show some love by liking the video. It really helps the channel grow and brings more powerful stories your way. Got thoughts, experiences, or questions? Drop them in the comments. I love hearing what you think and sharing this journey with you. And if you know someone who needs to understand the raw, unstoppable force of a Sigma female, go ahead and share this with them. Together, let's uncover the truth that most won't dare to face.